It's so good to see one another, isn't it? So joyful. Just feeling into being here, feeling the joy, the wonderment, the vastness, whatever you're feeling. Oh, and we have beautiful Azim taking a little rest here in the sun. Let's see how close he'll let me sit. Wait a second. So together we bask in the light of the sun of inner awareness. That's what it feels like. And as you soften into yourself, basking in the light that is not outside of yourself, feel your whole being just relaxing into being here. And a breath by breath welcome to yourself. And then we exchange breath in this quantum field with one another. And as we breathe, we're exchanging light. Amplifying light. And basking in more light. And we call in our beloved animal kin now into this sacred circle. Omar, Azim, Hawk, who's calling out. Yoshi, Khalil, Taz, Teddy, all of the beautiful equine beings that we feel in our hearts. A special equine being, Sage, who has just burst into the formless realms. Calling little Apple, who's a little mini, now in Mary Miller Jordan's herd. All of our heart horses, sacred healing herds that are all one herd of light. Beloved donkeys and mules and burros. in form and formless realms throughout the ages. We call in all of the large safari beings, elephants, hippos, rhinos, giraffes, orangutan, monkeys, gorillas, gazelles, to the smallest safari animals, the snakes and spiders and insects on the safari plains. Call in the feline collective, the tigers and lions, cheetahs, jaguars, panthers, to our tiny kittens, cats, Covey, William, Galen, Shadow, Snaily, Juno, Joey. Welcome the winged ones. Red-tailed hawk, who's been here all morning circling with crow and buzzard, the songbirds, hummingbirds, the tropical birds of the Amazon, parrots, toucans. We call in eagle, falcon, sparrow and chickadee. And call in all of the canine collective. Our beloved companion teachers, guides, in their fluffy, sweet, unconditional, loving dog suits. Isabella, Gisela, Satsang, Tex, Lulu, Frankie, Ingrid, Abby. The wild canine collective. And all the forest dwellers, the rabbits and snails and squirrels, bear, mountain lion. The Arctic animals, polar bears, penguins, seals, walrus, owls. All the oceanic beings. Octopus, squid, stingrays, manta rays, jellyfish, whales, dolphins. All the fish, from the tiniest minnows to the sharks, all of the mysterious underwater beings. We call in the marsupials, kangaroo, wombats, koalas, Just feeling the space as these pure lights converge here with our own pure lights of intention and love. So we welcome all these great beings, breath by breath, exchanging breath in this quantum vast sea of sentience. And this month we've been diving deeply, exploring, and let's just take a moment to bask in the transformation that you have been living, that you have been undergoing. The realizations and the awakenings, the shifts, the tides turning within you. Of all of these transmissions, which I will read through today, and there are so many of them, and we must make sure that we don't take them in with our brains. Our brains are so overworked and overloaded. So just allow our brains to rest and bathe in light. Invite your intelligent mind and all of those pathways of conditioning to just rest. And we'll take in these pointers to the moon with other faculties of perception that we've been cultivating, that the animals are honing our focus to open. So we'll begin with a message doing just that, which is to open all of those senses that we don't necessarily consciously have in play, but are beginning to play with more and more. And notice as you're taking in the summary of this whole exploration, what jumps out? What has a certain energy to it for you as an opening? It's listening with a certain acuteness of vibration, and allow what needs to penetrate even deeper to go deeper, what needs to fall away, just to be breathed out. So the transmission from our beloved animals on exploration of inner reference point. In the physical reality, it surely is helpful that the five senses make everything feel, taste, look, sound, and smell so solidly separate. A sound blasting through the air, a movement in the bush over there, separate. I am safe or I am not. I prefer this or I do not. But for humans, the rules of perceiving physical reality, mostly only through the five senses, has taken over everything via the mind's incessant pathways of separation and the amount of dedication you have to living from them. There's so many other senses from which we live, and it is only from these subtle senses that you can truly know yourself. We know ourselves through the soles of our hooves, where all vibrations converge. So let's open up the soles of our hooves. Doesn't matter what we call them. It could be paws, claws, gills. But our attention there lowers the sense of gravity. You can feel that. As that doorway of circulation opens, as you invite it in, exchanging breath with the earth herself, allowing knowing to come directly through the soles of the feet. Knowing yourself through the soles of your feet. We just breathe for a moment through our soles, activating this even deeper. And then the animals say we know ourselves through the crown of our head, where the gaps become life itself. The crown of the head. Feel that tunnel of light, wellspring of light, river of light, branches of light, however you feel it. Circulating with the whole cosmos of light. Knowing yourself from this portal with a direct imprint of knowing. Just breathing through the crown of our head. We know ourselves through the universal heart, perceiving through the soft meltedness of all pervading compassion that is inclusive of all. The universal heart. See where you feel this in your own being. Breathe the door open, the invitation to step through the threshold more fully, here and now. And we know ourselves through the breath. You hear that breathing out, releasing, letting go. In the letting go, a clearer knowing. And in the rebirth, as you breathe in, the rhythm of the expansion and the contraction of the breath, and in the space in between them, knowing yourself. Only then will you reclaim yourself as heaven on earth. So opening these pathways and exploring our direct knowing of ourself will lead us to what we're all really wanting to directly experience, which we know is here, heaven on earth. We began our exploration this month with this transmission in the ecosystem of collective human consciousness. There is a vibrational field we long to free all humans from. We know you think you are longing to free us, but we, the animals, and the whole of nature, which includes your true nature, we are all longing to free you. Well, this is not exactly true. It is more like the longing of the one heart to free itself from the inner cages, from the inner imprisonment, the inner trophy hunting, the inner using and abusing, from all the inner conditioned pathways, all which are byproducts of one root, a very subtle root of the inner reference point of yourself as a solid, separate me. So let's for a moment dive into this inner ecosystem that we have lived with for so long, that has created itself on the soil of separateness. And woven matrices around that reference point. Many which look like what we see gets projected onto animals. These are all wanting to be brought into the light of awareness now, in this luminous space, supported breath by breath by the animals and one another as not separate. So we look now at what are these inner cages that imprison you. Perhaps constriction arises in your body, and we just meet it with a breath. With no aversion and no fear, Just meeting the feeling of it, identifying it, but realizing it's not who you are. And the trophy hunting, where we go in search of reward and praise and glorification of our separate selves. Again, meeting whatever arises with a glance of compassion, simple seeing. The animals invite us to fully see these pathways that unconsciously anchor you to a personal reference point and feel the narrowness of their ways of control, exploitation, the way they keep track, they stalk you and hunt you down. So first, we must witness this inside of ourselves to become free from it, knowing that this reference point of a separate me often has us completely tethered around the neck. And simply knowing it changes it, directly seeing it frees it, changes it, transforms it forever. We have so much compassion for you, unending compassion for you, that same compassion that you feel for us. Please, you must here and now redirect it into the aspect of the human collective within you, this vibrational matrix of personal self-reference point. So redirecting the flow of compassion back to ourselves, back to that reference point of the separate me. And see this part of the matrix within you with the same compassion that you so generously offer us. For we are all one heart after all. So just noticing where in your own ecosystem do you separate out compassion for yourself. And just breathing the intention of opening that flow of compassion to the parts that need it within you. Trusting that compassion knows where it needs to go if you allow it to. Now watch what happens within and all around you when you begin to really know yourself as the one heart, as the universal heart. When your inner reference point opens to seeing who you are as the one mind, the cosmic mind of all, not separate. One flow. How would that change everything? Could such a subtle shift within you change everything? So in this moment, let's see that as a flash of light with potentiality to change the whole inner landscape. which we know is not separate from the outer appearing landscapes. And let's breathe in the enormity of that, the potency of that, and the feeling of, yes, the possibility. This is beyond hope now. This is a knowing within yourself that it is happening within you. Knowing yourself as the one heart, and knowing that this changes everything. Now we invite you. So here is their invitation to us. Let's hear this as a siren call and breathe it in deeply. We invite you to quantum leap over the threshold from cage to freedom, from personal to universal, from chronically being swept away by the tides to the actuality of turning the tides. So on the breath, receiving this holy invitation and breathing out your response back to the universe. I could hear the harmonics of all of your replies, like a symphony. Rippling out, heard by the one heart. Begin to allow yourself to uncongeal. Free all by resting in a deep-rooted, uncongealed knowing of yourself. Practice this within and notice all you lay eyes upon uncongeals in response. So we notice when we look at an animal being with soft eyes, our focus uncongealed. Their response. When we look at an animal with focused laser light eyes, their response. When we look within with soft eyes, feel the response in every cell wanting to be embraced by such a glance. Your tendency to congeal everything you perceive into this or that stems from referring to yourself as a separate coagulation. So how could we not, if we are experiencing ourselves as congealed and separate, how could we not perceive what we see as the same? Uncoagulate and begin to see truth more clearly, to speak truth more freely, to allow truth to uncover right before your very eyes. Coagulation will still happen, but it will appear in the uncongealed spaces in between. Held by a greater truth and a greater knowing, which is uncongealed in its nature. Open, vast, not solid, unconditional. You are the interbeingness of all. Why identify with anything at all? So let's explore that question. Just for yourself, why, through your journey, has there been this propensity to identify with anything at all? Just feel the natural flow of the answer and the question with a soft glance, with curiosity. With an openness. You can ask the soles of your feet, the crown of your head, the universal heart. Why has it been my experience to identify with anything at all? Just for a fuller understanding, which allows a fuller letting go in its own time, its own time. So you are the interbeingness of all. The dirt, the air, the fire, the rain, the hoof, the claw, the muzzle, the mane. In this moment, feel yourself as all. As uncongealed allness. All at once, identify as all. So those same pathways that we've used to identify with roles, turn them towards identifying with everything all at once. And notice when you follow the pathway straight to this doorway of being all at once, you naturally cancel yourself out. Find yourself here and now in this higher mathematics of canceling yourself out, for you are the equation itself and the answer. The sum and all its parts. So let that vibrate through your veins and your subtle channels of breath and all of the subtle meridians and all of the organs that make up the whole of your body. at higher mathematics, which can only happen in the one mind. You have been identifying yourself like a mala. You see how meticulously you've hand knotted each bead of your experiences together to create a complex mala, a living touchstone for your self-reference. Notice how every experience has become a bead tightly knotted together to form a mala of an understanding of who you are in a linear held together way. We are here to show you how easily the knots can come apart, to be allowed to be set free, to fall back like drops into the ocean. The thread that was holding it together is a thread of fear. Do not try to keep it neatly linked together any longer. You do not need this touchstone any longer. Let every experience come and go freely without knotting it into a me mala. Return the beads to the ocean. And in the falling apart of this well-constructed mala, you discover the freedom of being cut loose and loosened, and lost will be self-referencing, and found will be the sea of self-realization. So we bow to the mala that once was so well constructed, we thought. We bow to its loosening and falling apart in its own time, for we are not the doer. We must anchor to that, knowing that we are not the doer. We don't have to untie the mala ourselves. Just easily, when it's time, will fall apart and return back to the sea, dissolving, freeing life force once again, back to its undistorted true self. And when the separate me falls away into the ocean of the deep I, remember you're not the doer of the falling away. You are not the doer. Let it be. All is well here in this vast sea of I am. Let it be. The time has come for you to, the time has come for you to start feeling all the world of life's ever-revolving dance of shadow and light around the still pointed self of you. Same self as we. Time to feel it. It is only possible now. So let's take a breath and dive into the still pointed center of being within. And invite in an animal being to sit with you, anchored to their still pointed beingness, as they so naturally do. And as you sit together, breathing, notice that this still point is the same. It's the same still pointed self on which everything revolves around. So as you sit breathing with this animal being, and training to this still pointed center of your own being, which is the same still pointed center of their being. Feel how life continues to dance its play of shadow and light. And then notice your mind's activity. Notice how it feels quelled by this entrainment to the still point, how the chaotic thoughts begin to entrain to a different vibration. Your mind has spent eons entrained to the swirling and become convinced that this is who you are. And of course, then has projected this onto everything you see. So now is the time to notice the swirling all around you and within you, and to stay even more steadfastly grounded in the soil of sentient, still pointedness. That still pointedness is a unitive soil. Same self as we, say the animal. And so we notice the whirling. We notice how the mind is affected by both the whirling and the still point, which everything whirls and revolves around. The mind is entraining back to who you are. The confusion slips away. into a vastness of clarity so crystal clear. Now revolve around that. Just feel how natural that orbiting the still point is within you. So feeling in your own energy body, your own physical body here and now, how all of these threads of transmissions from our beloveds that we've all co-created together this month, how they've been working within you, rearranging and realigning, and making room for letting go and letting in. And if there was part of this process that really wants to speak and be shared and offered into this amazing sacred space, just notice. Notice how things have rearranged, are rearranging. Notice any offerings that you might want to share with voice, and feel free to unmute yourself and speak in this circle of light. I find it to be enormously compassionate. The way that these messages came through for us all have so many things that we can anchor to, so many strong anchor points, so that the dissolution doesn't perhaps feel as scary. And even if it does feel scary, that fear can be met with something that is bigger than itself and quelled in a true way, not in a false sense of safety. It's an enormous undertaking. It really and truly is, but we're not the doer. So that's really helpful to remember. So we can take the pressure off of ourselves. But for me, it's become even more crystal clear how nothing really would be able to change in terms of climate change, addressing all of these issues and all of the activism that goes on, that nothing can really change without these foundational interchanges happening on a very universal, amplified way. And then everything is possible. So this exploration is of great service to the whole. Even wanting to look at it changes everything. Would anyone like to share of their own direct experience? Please feel free. It's so nice to know we're not alone, isn't it? We're not the doers, and we're not doing this alone.
Hi, Sabine.
Hello, Anne. Hello, love.
Hello. I just wanted to thank you for your love and the way you present this message. It just touched me. Your love is so just encompassing. But when you just shared about how what we go through personally, we're going through with the climate and our earth, that really touched me. And I feel that now. So I'm so excited about working on and becoming lighter. I loved so many, all the transmissions, but what you said today, um, of taking on the identity of everything, the hooves, the back, the tail I've taken on, and everyone's taken on, and to be that all at once, and to go through that doorway with all that into the other side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anne. Your reflections are always so helpful for me.
Oh, thank you, Sabina. Oh, precious one.
I'm so glad that our seeing is becoming more and more clear,
Yes.
and how everything is interwoven.
And I'm not the doer.
Yeah.
There's so much, but I'm not the doer.
Yes.
And I just need to let it be.
Yes. To trust, have faith in
Yes.
sentience itself.
Sentience.
Faith in sentience, our whole month on faith in sentience, really deeply rooting.
Yes, yes, yes.
Some would call this God, faith in God, you know.
Yes.
And again, we know that word can be loaded with
Yes.
the distortions of the past, but when we free it,
Right.
and see, like the animals have been showing us,
Yes.
it's easy to put faith.
Sentience, there's so much feeling of love.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. An undistorted, clear light of love.
Yes.
Which is the same as that clear light of awareness, which has a soft internal gaze, is love. So thank you, Anne, for the depth of your walk and talk and breath and love.
Thank you, Sabina.
My joy. Would anyone else like to share anything that landed for them that you would like to lend words to? And again, your silence is heard and is an offering in and of itself. Your presence, oh, such a gift. Let's all join in together, rippling out Om. Thank you, Risha.
Thank you. My heart.
The beauty of that sacred sound, which is the manifestation, that congealing, and then its maintenance. It's being maintained until it no longer is and it dissolves. That pretty much sums it up. You can feel that in that sound. When we form it, we are giving vibration a manifestation, a sustaining longevity, and then a dissolution back to the still point. So thank each of you. I mean, looking around and feeling what appears to be individual beings, but feeling this unitive, still pointed self that we all are converging is hard to put into words. Surely is. It's pretty miraculous. So bowing to self, understanding that when you're bowing with reverent love to self, that's the same self as an all that meets your eyes and your senses. Same self. So we're bowing to one another, and to the animal beings, of course. So as we free ourselves, we are freeing one another and freeing the animal beings and the earth. When we are compassionate towards ourselves, we are overflowing that to all. And when we're dissolving boundaries, look what happens. Miracles. So this deep dive continues, breath by breath. So much love to each of you. Blessings, reverence, joy, gratitude. I will spend a little time communing with these beautiful horse beings. You can feel free to stay or go if you need to, and see you soon. I love this view behind me. I feel like Taz looks like, oh, she looks like a giraffe to me. I feel like there's a giraffe right here in our presence. And of course there is. Now Teddy has come over because he knows that he's been the star of the show now as of last week.
Hello, Teddy. We love
He
you.
says, hello, Stanley.
Yes. It's such a wonderful thing to commune together.
Isn't it?
Mm. But we get so much on the other dimensions, it's hard to speak on this dimension.
It is, and it's okay, because I hear you.
Yes, yes, you do.
I hear you loud and clear.
Thank you.
Thank you. Besides, it's so nice to come together and not have to speak in the ways that we usually do. So we're speaking a language of light. Thank you, Teddy.